Welcome to today's reading lesson. In today's lesson, we will study text structure. Text structure helps you race down the track to better comprehension. Of course, you might ask yourself, why am I going to study text structure? Why do it? Well, understanding text structure gives the reader, that's you, a better way to determine important information when reading nonfiction. So what exactly is text structure? Well, text structure is a way to organize information on a page so that you can grasp the meaning more easily. Of course, there's about 5 basic text structures: sequence, description, compare and contrast, cause and effect, problem and solution. So let's look a little more closely at sequence. Sequence describes items or events in order, or it tells the steps to follow in order to make something. Here's some examples. You might have a sequence of events. You might have a series of steps in a process, like a recipe. Here is an example of sequence. First, I make sure that my race car has plenty of fuel and is in tip-top shape. Next, I inspect the tires in case they are in need of repair. If everything is in order, I grab my keys and start my engine. Finally, I begin my laps. Knowing that this was written in a sequential order, I can easily go back and see what was the first thing I need to do, what was the next thing, what was the last thing. Here's some language that authors who use sequence will often use to connect their sentences and ideas in their paragraphs. This graphic organizer shows you how some authors will frame their information as they are going to sequence the information into a paragraph or into a larger passage. Descriptive is a text structure also, and of course, descriptive is a structure where the author describes information about topics, objects, people. Main ideas are supported by descriptive details, and examples of characteristics are given to support main ideas. You might have descriptive language when you have text that shows a lot of sensory images, with what you can see and hear and smell and touch and taste. Authors who use similes or metaphors or strong verbs are authors who are using descriptive language. We call it showing language, not telling, but showing something so you get a clearer picture of what the person or object is like. Here's an example. Look how the author in this short passage uses descriptive language. Formula F1 race cars have specific characteristics. The F1 is an aerodynamically designed, open-wheeled, single-seated race car with an open cockpit. The F1 specifications are regulated by the Fédération Internationale de l'Automobile, FIA. Did you notice the descriptive language? Yeah, the author definitely showed us what the race cars in Formula F1 would look like. Here are some words you might use when you are writing in a descriptive form, or when you are reading an author's writing and you want to know what text structures the author is using. Look for words like this. This graphic organizer might have been used by an author who is describing his or her topic. Problem and solution. Well, that identifies the problem and the solution to that problem. Let's look at an example and see if you can find the problem and the solution in this passage. It seems like there has been an increase in the number of teen driving accidents in the past several years. After further investigation, it appears that teens who text while they drive were responsible for the increase in traffic accidents. Fortunately, launching a media campaign explaining this problem has helped to bring awareness to teens. In addition, passing laws to restrict texting while driving may also be a help to decrease these accidents. Did you see any of these words? Well, you might see these words used by authors who are describing a problem and its solution. This graphic organizer can be used by an author where they want to explain the problem and the steps to solving that problem, as well as then describing the solution to that problem. Compare and contrast is another text structure, and of course it shows how two or more things are alike and how they are different. Here's an example. Auto racing is a popular, fast-paced sport. NASCAR and Formula One, or F1, draw large audiences on television, radio, and at live events. Spectators are drawn by the speed, competition, danger, and dazzling displays of automotive machinery and the drivers behind the wheels. Well, that part of that passage compares how NASCAR and Formula One are similar. But now the author is going to show us some differences. However, NASCAR and F1 are distinguished in a number of ways. The style of car chassis is very different. They conduct races in significantly different ways, and the rules each organization follows makes for a very different driving experience. These are the type of words that you would look for in compare and contrast text structure. An author who might want to organize his or her ideas to compare and contrast a topic might use a graphic organizer like this one. They have one topic here, a second topic here. They show the similarities, and then of course they can show the points of contrast or how they are different. Cause and effect. Cause is why something happened. Effect is what happened. Sometimes the effect is listed first. In other words, it is the relationship between two things when one thing makes something else happen. Here's an example. Vehicle engines must have an appropriate amount of air and fuel to run. An engine flooded with too much fuel will not start normally. Cars with carburetor engines commonly flood with fuel, but it can also occur on vehicles with fuel injection systems. Well, the cause is an engine is flooded with too much fuel. Well, what's the effect? You're not going anywhere because the car will not start. Here are words that you would look for, some transition words or signal words that show the cause and effect text structure. And this is a graphic organizer that an author might use when showing the cause and effect relationship. These have been the types of text structures that you might find when you are reading nonfiction text.